Okay, I'm Matty Zimmerman, and I'm in humerus fractures. So I focused on the shaft fracture and then the proximal humerus fracture. Humerus fractures don't really happen in young population. The average age is around 60 years old. And it's most common because of their low bone density and their higher risk of falling. Humerus fractures are classified by the type of fracture, and it's 3% of all fractures that occur in the body, while the proximal fracture actually has its classification system. There's a lot of them. The most common is the near system, which is on the sheet. It's classified by how many parts it's broken up into and then where the fracture is located. And proximal humerus fractures happen, they're 4 to 5% of all fractures. And they're actually, it's twice as common to happen in females than it is in males. The most common mechanism of injury is swoosh, so falling on an outstretched hand, high energy, direct blows, axial loads, excessive internal rotation and adduction, and falling from a standing height. Signs and symptoms, deformity, you can have instability and inability to move their shoulder, loss of any arm function because of nerve damage, and spasming, bleeding during an open fracture, pain, swelling, and bruising, and then hearing an audible noise or a grinding sensation or sound. To be completely know that it's a fracture, you need to get an x-ray. For treatments, there's 2 different treatment options, non-surgical or surgical. 80% are non-surgical cases because you only do surgical if there's like bone displacement. So for non-surgical, they do casting, functional bracing, or slings, and a lot of times they do x-rays throughout the healing process to make sure that the bones are still aligned correctly. And you usually mobilize from 4 to 6 weeks for that one. The surgical option is used with vascular or nerve tissue damage, which is usually the radial nerve. With open fractures, if there's multiple fracture points, if you have bilateral fractures in both your arms, or the bone is displaced or there's fragments. For that, your arm is immobilized for 3 to 4 weeks, and then the pins are removed 4 to 6 weeks after surgery. And it's usually done with internal fixations. They don't really use external fixations anymore. But the most common internal is a rod that goes through your bone, and then compression plates, which is, there's a picture of that on the handout as well. Complications with surgery, with any surgery. Then you have to worry about non-union, migration of the material that you use to fixate the bone together, infection, tissue irritation, getting a fracture around the material put in, and then having to remove the material if needed.
Questions?